and utilizing human beings as chattel. And that's all in the book of Enoch. These aren't exactly the stories that, described. I don't think it's talking about the creator of the universe in that book. When I started Googling and trying to find if anybody was looking at these anomalies, I came across information about the Annunaki. That's the name of the beings that, according to the ancient texts, came from heaven to earth. In the Egyptian culture, they call them the Natiru. And they said they came to earth and turned mud into a kingdom. In the Bible, they call them the Anak. They have these names in all different cultures. They all show up around the same time in every culture. And I started finding more instances of them in every culture I looked into around the same time period. And I go, these people really came here at some point in the distant past. It seems to be now around 450,000 years ago they arrived. And about 200,000 years ago, according to the text, not me, they started genetically tinkering with human beings, saying they were adding their essence to them to get us to do the labor for them. So around 200,000 years ago, they started tinkering with us. And there's a famous cylinder scroll and with some text at the British Museum with Isis, the goddess Isis, who was one of the original Sumerian pantheon, not Egyptian, Sumerian. And she's holding up a baby and she says, the first Adamu, which means first man, my hands have created it. And she claims to have taken this baby to term for 10 months in her own womb to create the more modern version of Homo sapiens sapien. The Anunnaki, well, the term itself means those who came from heaven to earth. And these Anunnaki are beings that came from outside of earth to earth from many different places, potentially. But these Anunnaki, these are the original Atlantean people. They created an Atlantean civilization. How do I know this? The tablets, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which is my first book, is about the Emerald Tablets. It's a bestseller right now. It's #1 out of 3 million books on Amazon. Why? Because it's talking about the gentleman that ruled over the land of Chem before it was called Egypt for 14,000 years. He left behind these tablets that he authored himself. He didn't have a scribe write them. Back in the day, it was typical. If you were considered a god, you would have a scribe write your work. He wrote them himself. He talks about the Great Flood. He talks about civilization declining and having to be brought back to a high level. He talks about all this stuff in the Emerald Tablets. And he covers everything from A to B. He talks about having technology in the Emerald Tablets. He has a ship that doesn't sail in the ocean. It flies into the sky until the earth disappears, until he gets to his place appointed, and then it descends from the sky back down to the land. This is 36,000-year-old text. And what's interesting about this text, where Jesus is talking in the Bible, quoted as being saying things in the New Testament of the Bible, I have side by side the verses from the Bible and the verses from both the Atlantean. Guess what? They're the same. But which came first, the chicken or the egg? One is 2,000 years old and the other one is 36,000 years old. A lot of the stuff in Egypt in the dynastic era was already there when dynastic era started. So a lot of the things that are really super megalithic and really old were there. They inherited those things. If you go to Mexico, where the Teotihuacan complex is located, which is a mirror of the Giza Plateau with the 3 pyramids aligning with Orion, the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon, and so forth, those structures were there before the Mayans got there. And even the Mexicans will tell you that the Mayans inherited what was, they built nothing. They even teach that.